I, 25F, and my husband, 27M, have been together for 3 years. Up until recently, I genuinely thought we had a happy marriage. We never fought, never had any serious issues. Whenever we had a disagreement, we always talked it out like adults. 3 months ago, I found out I was pregnant. We were both overjoyed. We've been trying for almost a year, and finally, our little miracle was on the way. My husband was ecstatic, always talking about how we were going to go through this journey together. But now, I don't know who I married anymore. About 5 months ago, before I found out I was pregnant, a new neighbor moved in across the hall from us. Let's call her Sarah. She's around 22 or 23, super pretty, with long dark hair and that kind of bubbly personality that makes everyone instantly like her. At first, it wasn't anything special. We introduced ourselves, said hi a couple of times in the hallway, and that was it. I never thought twice about her. Fast forward to about 4 weeks ago, and my husband started acting different. He was coming home later than usual, always with some excuse about work or traffic. He stopped answering my calls when he was out, which was weird because he's always been the kind of guy to pick up on the first ring. When I asked him about it, he brushed it off and said I was overthinking. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But then last week, everything changed. He came home late again, almost midnight, and he smelled like perfume. Not just any perfume. Sexy Secret. The same perfume that made me sick last year when we visited my sister overseas. I don't own it, never have. The smell hit me the second he walked through the door, and my heart dropped into my stomach. When I asked him about it, he just laughed and said I was imagining things. That night, he left his jacket on the couch while he went to the kitchen. His phone was in the pocket, and I don't know what came over me, but I checked it. I've never gone through his phone before. We've always had that kind of trust where we didn't need to. But something in my gut told me to look. I wish I hadn't. There were messages from Sarah. Not just friendly neighbor messages, full-on sexting, nude pictures, flirty texts about how they couldn't wait to meet up again. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through them. He had her saved under her real name, like he wasn't even trying to hide it. I switched off his phone and put it back exactly where I found it. When he came back from the kitchen, I just pretended everything was fine. I couldn't confront him. Not yet. I cried myself to sleep that night, clutching my stomach, wondering how the hell I was supposed to raise a child with a man who was betraying me like this. I need advice, Reddit. I don't want to raise a child in a broken home. I want to believe there's some explanation, that maybe this is all some horrible misunderstanding. But the messages were there. The proof was staring me in the face. Do I confront him? Do I try to save our marriage? Or do I cut my losses and start preparing to raise this baby alone? Update 1. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who commented and messaged me. I've been reading every single reply, and your support means more than you know. I never thought I'd be in this position, but here I am. I didn't confront him right away. I needed more proof. Maybe that makes me weak, but I couldn't bear the thought of him gaslighting me or making me feel like I was crazy. So for the past few days, I've been playing dumb, smiling, acting like everything's normal, all while quietly gathering evidence. I bought a cheap little recording device off Amazon and slipped it into his gym bag. He goes to the gym 3 times a week now, or at least that's what he tells me. I figured if he's really meeting up with her, I'll catch him talking to her on the phone or something. Well, it worked. Last night, I listened back to the recording. He wasn't at the gym. He was at Sarah's apartment. He called her baby. He told her he wished he could spend the whole night with her, but that I would get suspicious. He even joked about how I was too stupid to ever find out. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the recorder. I felt sick. I wanted to storm into the bedroom and scream at him right then and there, to throw the evidence in his face and watch him squirm. But then, I thought about the baby. I'm only 3 months along, but the stress is already taking a toll on me. I can't afford to lose control right now. I need to play this smart, so I'm gonna keep gathering evidence. I've already talked to a lawyer, just a consultation for now. I'm documenting everything. Every late night, every weird excuse, every flirty text I see pop up on his phone. I'm going to build a case so airtight, He won't even have the chance to lie his way out of it. But here's the part that's really breaking me. He still kisses me goodnight. He still puts his hand on my belly and talks to our baby like nothing's wrong. How can someone be so heartless? I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Please, if anyone's been through something like this, how do you find the strength to walk away? Update 2. It's been another week, and I feel like I'm living in some twisted nightmare. I finally confronted him. I couldn't hold it in anymore. He came home late again, smelling like her perfume. And when he tried to kiss me goodnight, I pushed him away. I asked him point blank if he was cheating on me. He laughed. He actually laughed and said I was hormonal and paranoid because of the pregnancy. He made me feel like I was crazy, like I was some clingy, insecure wife losing my mind. If I didn't have the messages and recordings, I honestly think I would have believed him. But I didn't back down. I showed him the texts. I played the recording. His face went pale. For a second, I thought he was going to cry. But then he got angry. He started yelling about how I had no right to go through his stuff, how I was invading his privacy. Not once did he apologize. Not once did he beg for forgiveness. I kicked him out that night. He's been staying with a friend, but he's been blowing up my phone nonstop. Apologies, promises to change, the whole "I made a mistake" speech. But I know it's only because I caught him. If I hadn't, he would have kept sneaking around behind my back without a second thought. I haven't responded to any of his messages. I'm trying to stay strong for the baby, but God, this hurts so much. How do you stop loving someone overnight? How do you let go of the life you thought you were building together? I've started looking into therapy, not just for me, but for when the baby gets older. I don't want my child growing up in a toxic environment. I refuse to let this break me. It's been 2 weeks since I kicked him out, and everything still feels like it's happening in slow motion. I've been waking up every morning with this heavy weight on my chest, but somehow I've managed to keep going for the baby. I force myself out of bed and try to put on a brave face for the day, even though everything feels like a constant struggle. The messages haven't stopped. He's tried everything. Apologizing, love bombing, even showing up at my doctor's appointment unannounced. I told the receptionist not to let him in, and I blocked his number after that. His family found out what happened, not from me, but from him. Apparently, he spun some story about how I was having a breakdown and pushing him away during the pregnancy. His mother called me the day after, practically begging me to forgive him. She kept saying how men make mistakes, and that I should think about how hard it is for him with the baby on the way. I almost hung up on her, but then his sister, Rebecca, reached out to me privately. She's always been the only person from his family I ever truly connected with. She was different from the rest of them, always understanding, supportive, and genuinely kind. When I told her the truth, she was horrified. She came over that same day, brought me groceries, and just held me while I cried on the couch for hours. Since then, Rebecca has been a godsend. She's the one who convinced their parents to stop pressuring me to take him back. His father hasn't spoken to him since he found out the truth. And from what I hear, he's been staying on some friend's couch because no one in his family will take him in. They're all disgusted by his actions, and it's been painful for me to watch his family fall apart like this. But it's not my fault. I never wanted to be the woman who tears a family apart, but I didn't tear anything apart. He did. And the sad part is, I don't think he even realizes how badly he's destroyed everything. The fact that he's still trying to play the victim with his family only solidifies how blind he is to the reality of the situation. I'm still documenting everything. I've got screenshots, recordings, even bank statements showing all the random withdrawals he made during the nights he was supposedly at the gym. My lawyer says I'm building a rock-solid case for full custody and financial support. The one bright side in all of this is that I finally feel like I'm regaining some control. I've been able to go to appointments on my own now, without feeling like I'm being watched or judged. I'm not constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering when he'll pop up again or send another message begging for forgiveness. I feel like I'm slowly starting to take back my life. But the nights are the hardest. I miss him. Or maybe I just miss the man I thought he was. I miss the way he used to hold me, the way he used to talk to our baby, even though I now know none of it was real. There were times when I genuinely believed he was the one, that he was my partner for life. But I can't keep fooling myself. His actions speak louder than anything he ever said. And what's killing me the most is knowing that none of it was real. That version of him, the man I thought I knew, doesn't exist. Rebecca told me he's been trying to play the victim with everyone who'll listen, saying I trapped him with the pregnancy and that I drove him to cheat by being distant. The old me would have been crushed by those lies, but not anymore. Now, I'm just angry. I'm angry that he's still trying to hurt me, even after everything he's done. I'm angry that he's trying to rewrite history to make himself look like the good guy. I've started writing letters to my baby. Just little notes, telling them how much I love them and how hard I'm fighting to give them a good life. It's the only thing that's keeping me sane right now. I write about all the things I hope for them, the life I want to give them, and the love I promise to shower them with every single day. Writing those letters makes me feel like I'm doing something for them. Something that's entirely mine and entirely for their future. It's the only sense of control I have left. I don't know what the future looks like, but I know I'm not going back. Not ever. Update 4. Another week has passed, and everything is finally starting to fall into place. The chaos has begun to settle, and while I'm still carrying the weight of the last few months, I'm starting to breathe again. It's not that the pain is gone, but I'm no longer drowning in it. My lawyer filed for divorce 2 days ago. It's official now. He hasn't been served yet, but I know it's coming. I've been bracing myself for whatever storm is about to hit once he gets those papers in his hands. I know he's not going to take it well, but I don't care anymore. I've already made up my mind. I'm done. His family, though, they've completely cut him off. His father called me the night I filed just to tell me how ashamed he is of his son. He apologized to me over and over, saying that if I needed anything, money, help with the baby, a place to stay, I only had to ask. I never expected that kind of support from them. I honestly thought they would rally around him, but it turns out they see him for exactly what he is. For all the hurt they've caused me by enabling him for so long, they've finally come to their senses. It's strange. I always thought I'd be the one apologizing, trying to make things work for the sake of family. But in the end, they're the ones apologizing to me. Rebecca has been by my side through everything. She even went with me to one of my ultrasounds last week, holding my hand while I heard the baby's heartbeat for the first time. I broke down crying right there in the room, not because I was sad, but because, for the first time in weeks, I felt safe. I felt like I wasn't alone. There's something so comforting about having someone who truly understands, and I don't know what I would have done without her. I've started moving forward in small ways. I got a part-time job working remotely, just something to keep me busy and bring in a little extra money. It's not much, but it helps. It gives me a sense of purpose again. I've been going to therapy twice a week, trying to untangle all the mess he left in my head. The therapist keeps reminding me that healing isn't linear. Some days, I feel like I'm finally okay, and others, I barely have the strength to get out of bed. It's exhausting, but I'm learning that it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to not be okay sometimes. He's still trying to worm his way back in. He's been leaving flowers outside my door, slipping notes under the crack, begging me to give him another chance. I throw them away without even reading them now. The man I loved is gone, if he ever really existed at all. It's hard not to feel a flicker of nostalgia when I see those flowers, but I quickly remind myself of all the reasons I ended things. I'm not about to let myself get caught up in his games again. He doesn't get the privilege of my attention anymore. One night last week, I had a dream about the day our baby will be born. In the dream, I was holding them in my arms, wrapped in this little yellow blanket I bought a few days ago. Rebecca was there, smiling down at us. His mother was in the corner, crying softly, but he wasn't there. And when I woke up, I realized something that's been sitting in the back of my mind this whole time. He doesn't deserve to be there. He doesn't deserve to see this child take their first breath. He doesn't deserve to call himself their father. It was a surreal moment. The dream helped me solidify everything I've been feeling. I'm doing this alone, and that's okay. I'm more than capable of raising this child on my own, and I'll give them the love and support they need. Update 5. It's been a month since the last update, and so much has changed. My little miracle is here, and my heart is fuller than I ever thought possible. The birth was intense, but Rebecca was by my side the entire time, and so was his mother. I never thought I'd find myself in a delivery room with her, but she was more supportive than I could have imagined. When I held my baby for the first time, it felt like the world had finally come together. In that moment, all the pain, all the anger, all the heartbreak, it all faded into the background. My baby was here. I was a mother, and I had everything I needed. I still haven't decided on a name yet. I want to take my time with it. I've always believed names should have meaning, and I'm not in any rush. For now, I'm just soaking up every little moment, watching them sleep peacefully in my arms, hearing their soft breaths, and knowing that I'm the one who gets to guide them through life is the most incredible feeling I've ever had. But of course, my peace didn't last long. A few weeks after the baby was born, I received a call from the police. Apparently, my ex-husband had been showing up at my apartment again, demanding to see the baby. He even tried to claim that he had rights, that he was entitled to be a part of the baby's life. The police had warned him twice before about harassing me, but this time, they were serious. They showed up at my door and arrested him for violating the restraining order I had against him. I didn't know what to feel. Part of me was relieved that it was finally over. I'd been living in fear of his return, wondering when he would show up again, trying to sneak into my life and wreck everything I'd worked so hard to rebuild. But the other part of me felt a cold, bitter anger. I had done everything to keep him away. I'd made it clear I didn't want him in my life. But he just couldn't accept it. He didn't even try to apologize anymore. He just tried to bulldoze his way back in, like I owed him another chance. What shocked me even more, however, was the news I found out later. After his arrest, it came to light that he had started partaking in illegal activities. It turns out he'd been involved in small-time drug dealing. He'd been making side deals with some unsavory characters, trying to make quick money. His friends, the ones who had been enabling him and letting him crash at their places, were all part of it. Apparently, he'd gotten deep into the local drug scene, doing business in the same areas where he had once claimed he was just working out late at night. It made me sick to my stomach thinking about how far he'd fallen. The man I once thought I was in love with was now nothing more than a shadow of who he used to be. I'm not sure if this behavior was something that had been there all along, or if his desperation and guilt over losing everything had pushed him into it. Either way, it was clear he had become someone I didn't recognize. He's now facing multiple charges including harassment, violation of a restraining order, and involvement in illegal activities. It's a mess. His arrest has further distanced him from his family. His father has refused to speak to him at all. And Rebecca, who is still holding on to a glimmer of hope that he could turn things around, is beyond disappointed. She's heartbroken, not just for him, but for the baby. She told me she's struggling with the fact that my ex-husband will never be the father he should have been. And honestly, I can't blame her. I feel the same way. The truth is, I've finally let go of any hope of him ever being the man I thought he could be. I don't want my child to grow up with him in their life, not the way he is now. Not after everything that's happened. I've made it clear to his family that if he gets out of jail, he will not be seeing the baby. They've been supportive of me in that regard. His mother, while still devastated by his choices, understands my decision. It's hard to explain to her, but I can't put my child at risk. Not even for family. I can't go back to a life of uncertainty and emotional abuse. Rebecca has continued to be my rock through all of this. She's even more involved with my child than ever, and we've started discussing how to make sure my baby has a future that's stable, loving, and full of support. She's been helping me prepare for the custody battle that's likely coming, and we're both trying to make sure the past stays in the past where it belongs. The healing process has been far from linear. Some days, I wake up feeling empowered, knowing that I've done the right thing for my baby. But other days, the fear of what my ex-husband might do next creeps back in. I'm trying to focus on the here and now. I'm trying to build a life full of love and safety, with my baby at the center of it. I know that the road ahead isn't going to be easy, but I'm not alone anymore. I have Rebecca, and I have my strength. Most importantly, I have my baby, and that's more than enough. Final update. It's been a year since everything changed, and I can honestly say that I've never felt more at peace with my life. My baby is thriving. They're a little bundle of joy, always smiling and full of curiosity. I'm constantly in awe of how much love can come from such a small person. Watching them grow has been the most rewarding experience of my life. There are moments when they look at me with such trust, and I know that no matter what happened before, I've done the right thing for them. They're safe, loved, and surrounded by people who will protect them at all costs. The custody battle with my ex-husband is officially over. I was granted sole custody, and the courts have ruled that he's not fit to be a part of my child's life. At least not until he turns his life around, which, honestly, I don't see happening anytime soon. He's still facing charges for his involvement in illegal activities, and I've heard from his family that he's been in and out of rehab. It's sad, really. I don't want to see anyone go down that path, but he's made his choices, and I can't allow his dysfunction to negatively impact my baby's future. I've been firm in my decision, and I don't regret it. Rebecca has been a godsend. She's more like a sister to me now, always there, always ready to lend a helping hand or just listen when I need to vent. I'm so grateful for her. We've become a little family of our own, and I know I can count on her for anything. She's also helped me navigate the legal and emotional struggles, and I've leaned on her so much. I've realized that I don't need the toxic ties that once bound me to my ex-husband. I have a family now that's built on love, respect, and trust. I've started to rebuild my career as well. I'm still working part-time remotely, but I've taken on more responsibilities and have begun making strides in my professional life. It's incredible how much confidence I've gained in the past year. I'm no longer the person I was when I first got out of that toxic relationship. I'm stronger, more independent, and far more focused on the future than I ever was before. There are still hard days, of course. Some nights when I'm lying awake, I think about everything I've been through, and it's hard to believe how far I've come. There are moments when the weight of everything hits me all at once. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the loneliness. But those moments are fleeting. They no longer define me. I don't dwell on the past anymore because I've learned to see it for what it was. A painful chapter that I've closed for good. I'm not the same person who was crying over him, wishing for things to change. I'm a mother now, and my focus is on raising a strong, kind, and resilient child who will never have to experience the kind of pain I went through. And as much as I wish I hadn't been through the heartache with my ex-husband, I know that it shaped me into who I am now. I'm grateful for the lessons, even if they came with a price. As for my ex-husband, I finally let go of any lingering emotions. It took me a while to come to terms with the fact that the man I once loved didn't exist in the way I thought he did. I used to wish he could change, that he could be the person he pretended to be. But now, I see him for what he truly is, a man who made choices that led him down a path of self-destruction. And as hard as it is to accept, that's his journey, not mine. I've learned that my worth is not defined by anyone else's actions. I am enough, on my own, with my child, and the family I've built around me. And that's all that matters. So here we are, a year later. My baby is happy, healthy, and thriving. I'm finally free, and I've created a life that's mine. A life that's full of love, joy, and strength. A life that's mine to shape and protect. To anyone who's gone through something similar, just know that you can make it through. It won't be easy, and there will be days when you feel like you can't take it anymore. But one day, you'll look around and you'll realize how far you've come. You'll realize that you've built something better than you ever thought possible. You are stronger than you think, you are capable of more than you know, and you are not alone. Thank you for following my journey. It's been a long road, but I found peace at the end of it.